Welcome to Social Curiosity Podcast. I am your host, D'Angelo Verse, where we explore the depths of human behavior, personal stories, and relationships to uncover the fascinating layers of who we are. Welcome to Social Curiosity Podcast. I have a good friend of mine joining me today. He's got the Meaningful Life t-shirt on, man. Show him the shirt.
There you go.
Man, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is our brand. I have my good friend Anton Tyulyu. Anton is an inspiration to me. We met at the gym. This guy was doing pull-ups like a NFL athlete or something. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Anton Tyulyu.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you and seeing you, man.
Anton, thank you for giving me your time. Appreciate your time. And
Absolutely.
so I don't take that for granted. We got an amazing topic today as it relates to your story about a narrative of adaptability and resilience. And so let's jump right in. What I'd like you to do is take us all the way back to your childhood and kind of explain how those experiences shaped who you are today.
Yep. So I was originally born a completely healthy baby. When I was about 6 months old, I was giving a polio vaccine. And after receiving that vaccine, I became completely paralyzed. Spent a lot of the early months of my childhood in the hospital, kind of recovering. Again, coming back from being completely paralyzed to now where I can sit, stand, walk, move, which all those things the doctors told me that I'll never be able to do. Um, so I was born in Ukraine, moved to America when I was about one. My parents wanted to come here to see if there's a medical abilities here for me to kind of try out maybe new braces or something like that. So spent a lot of time in physical therapy, learning how to walk with braces, learning how to adapt to all the challenges that I might be facing ahead. So that's kind of how my childhood started. Spent a lot of times being able to just see other kids in their situations, and it kind of those early years really kind of put a perspective on life for me to be able to enjoy the little things and be appreciative of the little things in life as we continue on through life.
So Anton, you were giving an experimental polio vaccine?
It was so
Right.
from what my mom told me, they ran out of the normal vaccines that they give through a shot, and they gave me an oral vaccine. And others, a group of kids in our the region where I was born got sick from that one. I was probably the worst case because again, from with polio, you can either just get a fever and be okay in a couple days, or you can be completely paralyzed, which is what I got.
So you were completely paralyzed.
Yes. Like, my
Now,
mom told me my face would be to the side, I wouldn't be able to move my arms or legs, and yeah, completely paralyzed.
and how old were you again?
S
Like, or just what was the range of age that this took place?
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say from 6 months to a year, I think, in that time span. So the first
So from
12 months of my life.
the first 12 months of your life, you're paralyzed. Wow. So what kind of lasting effects are you having today as a result of that experience?
Yep. So polio from again, I'm
Oh.
not a doctor, but from what I understand, polio kills your nerves that are connected to your muscles that allow them to grow. So after your muscles don't get a nerve reaction, I guess they atrophy and you're no longer able to use them. So now the best way I like to explain it is if you ever watched Forrest Gump and he had those leg braces on him, that's kind of what I use to walk right now. So, they're all the way down from my foot to my thigh, and they lock in place, and once they're locked, I can, move around and I can use them to walk. Other things, there's post-polio syndrome that comes along later in life that, it kinda because you use your muscle nerves, so much and half of them are gone, the ones that you do use get used way more often and at a higher frequency, which can cause them to start deteriorating earlier on in life. So there's all these sorts of effects that come on in later in life. Again, I can't walk without my braces is probably the biggest one.
Now I know you, right? And I've seen you, and I just want you to paint a picture for our listeners. Your walking is not like my walking or their walking, right? I mean, you still have struggle, you still have issues, and some from time to time you fall, right?
Yep. There's times where it falls. So if you can imagine walking with straight legs all the time, your balance is a little off. I also have scoliosis, and so my spine kind of goes like this. It's not perfectly straight. So that also causes one of my legs to be a little shorter than the other. So if you ever noticed, I have a lift on my shoe. It's about an inch and a half elevated, more elevated than my other shoe. So that sometimes that causes a limp. That can cause me to fall. I as soon as I fall, I try to get right back up. I don't wanna stay down there, you know? So it has its issues, but, it's not the end of the world. It's something that I just deal with, and, again, I feel like everyone falls, but every time I fall, it's like the end of the world, and I'm like, "Ah, it's okay. I can get right back up. It's not a problem," you know?
Not the end of the world, not
Yeah,
the end of the world. Some people it would be. I mean, some people get tax bills and they feel like it's the end of the world, right? Or
it is.
but you're dealing with uh your leg issues and you're telling us it's not the end of the world. That we're going to get to the resilience that you have later. Has your mom or father kind of talked to you about what their experience was when you were going through this? I mean, I can only imagine as a father. I mean, my daughter was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 5. Um, had that have that removed, and she did well, like exceptionally well. And then we just recently had to revisit that, and she had brain surgery again at 20 years old. And but yeah, even today, she's so much better.
That's awesome.
Even after that, we're able to remove the entire tumor. She's doing great. But as a parent, dude, I wanted to take that on for myself, right? Like as a parent, I it's you don't wanna see your kids go through that. It's almost like, "Give it to me." So, what have they said about that experience in terms of how it may have impacted them?
Yeah, I will tell you that my parents said this exact same thing you're saying. They pray to God that if there's any way that they can take it upon themselves and take it away from me, if that could be possible. My mom had a very tough time. She stayed with me in the hospital. She's been with me to every single appointment that I've ever been to. She's even now, I'm 28 and she's trying to come to all my appointments. I'm like, "Mom, I can do it. I can do it." I mean, you all for all
Yeah.
these years, she's been teaching me how to be independent and to be able to do things on my own and to never think I can't do something. As long as I try, I'll be able to do it. And so I learned a lot from my mom in regards to that. My dad's always been there as well. Like, one time I was telling you, man, he carries me out of the water at when we go to the beach. I'm like 25-year-old dude. He's just carrying me out of the water. Like both of my parents give me the most unconditional love you could ever ask for, and I can genuinely say, without their support, I would not be here today with the same person I am today. Because I mean, I can't even imagine being a parent knowing how hard the life is gonna be for my child and trying to prepare my child for that, and my mom, my dad, my whole family, my brothers, my sister, all did everything they could to treat me as normal as possible and help me out in any situation where, I would ever need help and always looked out for me.
And as a parent, right, being told that your child wouldn't live or have w or what was the percentage again?
From what my mom told me, the doctors said that I have a 5 to 2 to 5% chance to live. And after that, they took me away from her for about 2 weeks, and she couldn't really see me or see me in person. And so yeah, those 2 weeks must have been I can't even imagine.
2 to 5% chance to live.
Yep.
They were so wrong, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, man, man, man. Maybe one day I can get your parents on here and we could talk,
Oh,
and
my mom would love
about
that.
their experience. Okay. All right. Well, that we're gonna sign that one up.
Yeah.
Um, help us understand, man, like, losing your ability to walk, right? How did that influence maybe your self-identity, over the years, right?
Yeah.
And
As I was y when I was younger, I was very kinda aware that I'm different, than anyone else, and I always try to put myself in situations where, um I wouldn't need to be viewed as different. Like, for example, if I had to take a wheelchair somewhere because we're going on a long walk or something, I would always not want to do that because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna be the only one in a wheelchair. Or, but over time, as like I've grown in life, I've learned to accept who I am. And even now, like you see me at the gym wearing shorts, I used to never wear shorts. I never wanted anyone to see that I'm wearing leg braces or something like that. So just as time goes on, you kind of realize in life that there's bigger things in life than, "Hey, I can't walk and I'm gonna feel bad about it and not show anyone," versus I remember being in, physical therapy and there's kids that will never be able to walk in any way, and I'm here complaining that, "Hey, I have to walk with these braces," when someone's laying in a bed for the rest of their life or can't eat and have to eat out of a tube. At least I can experience taste, and I've seen people that have, braces on their arms, and I can use my arms. And so I tried that really shaped me to be grateful for every little thing that I have in my life, to just take a more of a bird's eye perspective on it. Does this little thing that's bothering me right now really should it cause me to feel this way and have so much negative energy towards it versus when I know that it's such a small little blip in the grand scheme of things. So that's kind of what
man,
it's taught me throughout my journey.
man, I'm amazed that, you call it small, because I'm just thinking about some of the things that have me worried and concerned today, right? That can't even compare to a lifetime of having to, um, deal with this kind of deficiency in terms of walking, right? Man, that's some supernatural grace right there, supernatural strength right there. You gotta kind of tell me how you do it, man. Because that's powerful.
Yeah, it was funny because we were, in church and the preacher was talking about, like, if you listed the top 5 things you want in your life, how many of you would say walking is the number 1? And, like, I'm
Mm.
probably sitting there the only one, and I'm like, "This guy right here," you know?
Right,
And so
right,
it's like
right.
how people view things, like, and it just got me to think, like, there's someone out there in the world that their number 1 thing is to be able to raise their hand, and I can do that.
That's right.
So,
Mm.
that's, that's how I try to view life and view all the problems that come up, in life or all the battles that we all face.
Oh man, 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 man. That's giving me this sense of conviction right now, just thinking about all the things that I complain about sometimes, even underneath my breath that nobody else hears, like
Yeah.
wishing this was different or I want to do this or that. And man, I didn't get booked for that engagement. And here you are, right? With this tremendous amount of gratitude. I love it, man. Thank you for teaching me. Have you noticed your identity change throughout different stages of your life or your perception of it?
Yeah, the older I get, the more open I am about talking about, my struggles or the way that I am, my disabilities or something like that. So, o I guess the older you get, the more honestly, the more grateful I am for what I've been through because without going through that as a kid and as a teenager, I wouldn't be here today, the person I am. So it all shapes you to become, again, the person that you are. And over time, you just kind of you get more of a focus on what's really more important in life.
I remember when we first met, Anton, you were just like a beacon of light, bro. Like, um, we hadn't talked before I would see you, and then I came up and had an idea, and we talked about that idea, but I think I held some unconscious misconceptions about, um, you know, those living with disabilities, right? Um, and when I saw you, when I talked to you, I'm like, man, this dude is not only can he do more pull-ups than me, um, but man, there was a sharpness, there was a swag about you that, man, that was magnetic. And so my the question that I have is what's a common misconception that people have about those living with disabilities that you wish they understood more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's a funny one because yeah, sometimes the um people can view you and be like, "How," like, I had someone at the gym come up to me and say, "How are you happy?" And I was like, "What do you mean, how am I happy?" Or because they got in a car accident and they needed a brace or something, and they just came up to me to talk to me because they saw that I had braces, and they're like, "How do you live life and be happy with a brace?" I'm like, "How do you not live life? You're living life and not be happy." So, it's very cool, and a misconception, I guess, is that it's a disability versus looking at it as a way of it's a different way of doing something. Like, I always tell people, I mean, I guarantee you I can probably do things that you can never do. Um,
Mm.
so I wouldn't consider you disabled. It's just a different way of doing things. Like, if I have to, I can like at the beach, I'll walk to the beach on my arms into the water, like on my hands, like handstanding into the water. So it's like I don't see anyone else doing that. So is that a disability? It's not. So it's just like a different way of accomplishing the same goal. It might look different, which is,
Yeah,
but it accomplishes the same thing. I'm not here to say that there's certain stuff that like I can't do, which there's limiting things, but it's not a blocker for me to attempt those things or to try to achieve those things in a different way.
man. Oh, that was good. That was really good. Um, so who is you've already alluded to this, right? Who has helped you, and what has helped you develop resilience through your journey, and
Yeah.
how did it specifically support you?
Yeah, I would say the
Yeah.
biggest one is my mom. I remember as a little kid, even not wanting to do any exercises, my mom and I would just every day for like 30, 40 minutes, she would make me do these exercises. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is like not going to help me. But man, she never gave up on me. Like her biggest dream was for me to be able to walk. Um, and man, I mean, I'm still trying my best every single day to hopefully one day that dream would come true for her. 'Cause I started off I had, like a walker. So,
Yeah.
after when I was, like, maybe 10 or 11, I stopped using the walker, and then after that, my mom, for the first time ever, saw me being able to stand without one of my braces. So, it's my mom's been the biggest rock in, like, just absolutely amazing. My dad as well, my brother, my sister. My brother's funny because he's the one that got me into the gym. He never let me use my disability again as an excuse to not do something. And he he never treated me any different. So if I'm like not running fast enough next to him, he's like, "Come on, let's go." Like he doesn't let me use that as an excuse. My dad's always there for me. Whenever we cross the street, he always puts out his hand so I can grab his hand and he'll walk me across the street. Even like as a 28-year-old guy, I remember I'm like looking at him like when I was a teenager, it's like, Dad, it's embarrassing. Like I'm 16 and I'm walking with holding my dad's hand. But like now that I
Yeah.
think of it, that's like the true definition of what love is right there. Um, and now anytime I come up to a street and I don't see his hand, I'm like, "What's up? What's going on?"
Y
So
You forgot about me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then both of my sisters, my older sister is like a second mom to me. Whenever I needed to go somewhere, she'll make sure that I have my wheelchair to make sure we don't have to walk far. And then my little sister, whenever I needed to reach something, if I'm sitting in a wheelchair, she'll get it for me. She'll help me out. And then one of my best friends, Stone, since high school, has also been there for me. Anytime we're walking like downhill, he'll stand in front of me so I can have my hand on like on his back, so I don't fall forward. My brother, my dad do that as well. So it's again, I attribute it to all the people in my life that have been there to support me because without their support, there's I wouldn't be here. So they've been an amazing part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me sometimes that, you fall and people generally wanna help and, people may try to, help you off the ground, but it makes it worse because you know how to get up. They don't know how you normally get
Yeah.
up, right?
Yeah, it's funny 'cause, I'll fall over and 10 people, like, grab my arms and try to pick me up,
Yeah.
but I can't use my legs to get up, so I need to use my arms and push off, so if they're holding my arms like this, I can't push off, so I'm just
Yeah.
like it's an awkward little situation, but again, I understand that everyone's doing their intent is good, right? They're trying to, help me out, so I always try to accept help when I can. That's one thing I've learned that accepting help is not a bad thing. I used to never want to accept help. I always try to do stuff on my own, but my mom's like, it's not the worst thing in the world to say, "Can you help me out here?" And so, yeah, whenever people, come up and grab me to try to help me up, it's a little hard to get up, but once I'm saying, "Ah, I got it, just let me go for a second, and then I'll pop right back up," and there so, I appreciate everyone's help, so I'm not trying to sound like,
Yeah.
I don't need it or anything.
Right. I have a friend named David Jones. He recently lost his arm, and he corrected me on this, right? He said, "Listen, it's not necessarily the disabled community, it's the adaptive community." Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, absolutely, and for a great example of that is, like, adaptive sports. Like, when I was younger, I played what's called sled hockey. So, it's kind of like you sit down in like a sled and you push off with, hockey sticks. So,
Mhm.
it's that's an adaptive sports, and it's not limiting you, it's just a different way of playing hockey, right? It didn't stop me from playing hockey, it just looked a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned your arms, and I can see because, brother, I'm telling you, I see you doing pull-ups all the time, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I want you to share a moment when you realized that your experience had given you a unique strength, right? But also perspective that others might not have. And honestly, you've been alluding to this all along. Like the gratitude and being able to walk on your hands to the beach and things of that nature. Can you unpack that a little bit more as well?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest, place or whenever I realized that just me being positive and showing people that I can get through a hard time, is when I was at the gym. Like, I started going to the gym and people would just come up to me. Like, I had a guy came up to me, gave me a hug, and started crying and saying, "I see you at the gym all the time, and it just gives me like hope and inspiration to keep going." I've never talked to him, and he told me he's been watching me for like a year, and because
Wow.
of that, he's been pushing himself to go to the gym. I have if I go out in public and people see me that go to the gym, they'll stop me like, "Hey, you're a big inspiration." And to me, it never really occurred. I'm just like doing my normal life, right? But for someone that's going through something to see, and they can see me, and if that benefits them in any which way, in my eyes, that's awesome. So that's when I kind of realized, hey, maybe not everyone has this outview on life that's so positive and you can get through tough things by just realizing that it's not the end of the world if I'm going through one hard thing versus another. So that's kind of when I realized maybe being able to share my experiences would help someone, and if I can help someone, then everything I've ever been through in my life is worth it.
Man, I like this, scaling down, right? This simplistic um approach to life and how you view things and tapping into gratitude. And I mean, you said earlier, man, I can taste my food. Um, just being in the present moment. I don't think we do that enough. I know I don't do that enough, right? And this is something that I work on. I even speak on it, but it's challenging sometimes because of all of the task lists that we have, right? All of the busyness that we're inundated with and with society. But you've figured out how to kind of narrow things down to be pleased and content with sometimes this just the most simplistic thing, you know? Um, also, I mean, I sometimes, man, when I really stop and think and I see birds chasing each other, when I see squirrels chasing each other, or I see a beautiful sunset or sunrise, man, it's almost like there's glimpses of heaven always
Amen.
present around us. You know what I mean? Um, and so I just admire that about you, and since we've been connected, that's one of the ways that you've inspired me too, man. Um, and so what advice would you give someone facing a major life challenge, whether disability related or not?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's two paths anyone can take whenever they face a hard time or a hard decision or a disability or just facing any challenges in life. You can go down the path where you just close up and you're all to yourself, and then you just keep blaming people, keep blaming God, and just sulk in misery, right? Or you can try to take the approach of, hey, how can I get myself out of this? What can I do to get out of the situation? Or if I'm going to be facing something, view it as a challenge, not a setback, or view it as a way to do something different versus like not be able to do it at all. So again, I think it's very important to just be able to appreciate the little things in life. And then once you take that little victory here, you can take another little victory there, and you add two victories together, and then it just keeps building and building. So it might look like a pretty long journey, but if you take little wins here and there, it helps you like just zoom out and appreciate every little thing that you have in life. And uh, this one mom always tells me, there's always someone in a worse condition than you, so don't not feel sorry for yourself, but don't let yourself just, complain to God all the time, like, "Why me? Why this?" Because there's always someone out there in a worse situation than you, and if they could have your life,
Yeah.
they 100% would, so be thankful for whatever you have.
I wonder if this is some of what, Jesus had in mind. He said, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has problems of its own," and then he talks about, "Look at the lilies of the field," right? "Look at the birds," right?
Bird, yeah.
And then he compares it to Solomon, and so, yeah, just being grateful and thankful for what we have right now, and I think that you've figured out how to do that. A lot of us are still trying to figure that out. Looking back at your journey, right, what accomplishment or personal growth are you most proud of that might surprise our listeners?
Um, I think being able to freely talk about my life experiences and my disability like we are right now is something that I've never envisioned myself of doing. I've always been shy. I'd never want like again like I didn't want to like in class when I it was like a new day, like start of a new year, right? Everyone's sitting down. I hated when we would have to stand up and like get in the line because then everyone's gonna say, "Oh, he's different," right? But now, man, I it's being free to tell my story and to tell people that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Trust in God, trust in what you're doing and the way you view everything. So that's something that is I've been continually growing towards, and very happy to see where I am now with that.
Anton, you are truly an inspiration, brother. I know God has a lot in store for you. I am so thrilled that I'm connected to you. And one of the things that you and I are working on is that you're going to be a keynote speaker one
All right.
day and you're going to fill stadiums, man. And the things that I'm doing, right? Like you're going to run circles around me.
I
So
don't know, man.
I'm good with that. And so I appreciate your friendship, and I am so honored to mentor you in that area, man, and I can't wait to see to come to fruition. This is gonna be beautiful. Um, how can people find you if they have questions
Yeah.
or if they, wanna reach out?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook, Anton.Tulu, or they can also email me at Anton.Tulu@yahoo.com.
Excellent. All right, guys, this concludes our session with Anton Tulu, the myth, the man, the legend. And until next time, I want you to stay socially curious. Peace.
Thanks, guys.